Failure is often just a description of something that's happened. But somewhere along the line, we started using failure as more than just a description of something that happened. We started using it as a judgment, a label, a verdict. Hi there. I want to talk to you today about something that touches every one of us. It's something we've all experienced and something most of us try pretty hard to avoid. That is failure. Now, before you tune out or think, oh no, another motivational talk, this isn't that. This is a conversation, a little reframing. Let's take a deeper look at what failure is and what it absolutely is not. Failure is often just a description of something that's happened. It's not inherently emotional, it's not moral, it's not a statement about worth, it's just a word. But somewhere along the line, we started using failure as more than just a description of something that happened. We started using it as a judgment, a label, a verdict. Take this example. Let's say you're trying to get certified as a dog groomer. You need 80 out of 100 to pass the test. So you get to work, you study, you try, you care, and you get 79. So did you fail? Well, technically, yes. Yes, you didn't meet the benchmark of 80. You didn't pass the test. But emotionally, what does that failure mean? Does it simply mean try again? Or is there a whisper in the back of your mind that I'm not good enough? I'll never make it. I'm such a failure. Yeah. See, this is where the pain of failure really lies. Not in the test, not in the score that you got, but in the thoughts that were attached to it. Now, some thoughts, though painful, are still healthy. They reflect truth without being distorted. They sound something like, I am disappointed. I really wanted this. I wish I had studied harder. These thoughts come with some sadness or even some regret, and that's okay. That's normal. That's totally human. But then those thoughts can start to get twisted and they become things like, I'm an idiot. I'll never get anything right. This was my only shot at happiness. Now, once we start with those thoughts, we've crossed into distortion land and into this self-attack mode. And that creates despair, hopelessness, even perhaps a little anger. I've worked with people long enough to know that we all do this. We can take a single event and turn it into a sweeping conclusion about ourselves. We can take a moment of failure and use it as like evidence that we are a failure. And that's not only unhelpful, it's not true. One of the most freeing things I ever learned was from David Burns. And this is the Team CBT YouTube channel, so I'm going to mention David Burns. But he talks about this concept of fail as fast as you can. Why? Because failure isn't something to avoid, it's something to learn from. Failure does not mean you're broken. It means you tried something hard. It means you're stretching yourself. It means you're moving forward into new uncharted territory. So now let's be honest. There are things in life out there that are out of our reach, things that might actually be impossible, and that's okay. I'll give you a personal example. I'm in my 50s. Could I now become a brain surgeon? Well, technically, maybe. Realistically, not likely. I mean, I could go back to school and spend 10 to 15 years training and learning and rack up enormous debt. And even then, with my memory challenges, I'd probably need extra time. Well, let's say I make it though. But then I got to do an internship, right? Like at 65? Yeah, that's more improbable than inspiring. So, yeah, there are things that, for all intents and purposes, are impossible for me to achieve. I would fail at. But does that make me miserable? No. Why not? Well, because my happiness doesn't come from what I do, it comes from why I do it. For me personally, that why is serving God or serving others and doing things for other people. And there isn't just one path to joy, there are many. That's a big part of what helps me navigate failure. You may not share my beliefs. That's okay. You might find meaning in a different source, but one truth holds across the board. It is not the circumstances that hurts the most, it's the thoughts we have about it. Your thoughts can be your greatest ally or your harshest critic. They can help you grow or hold you hostage. Because failure at a task is not the same as failure as a person. Let me say that again. Failing at something you do does not make you a failure. There's really no such thing as a failed human being. I don't know what you're facing right now. Maybe you are having a setback in your career. Maybe there's a relationship you're involved in that didn't work out. Maybe a personal goal you felt you've missed on. Whatever it is, I want you to hear this. You are not defined by that one moment. You are not defined by that outcome. You're defined by the courage to keep going, to keep trying, and to keep showing up. There are millions of people across the world living in the most difficult and even devastating circumstances who still find joy. And often it's because they've learned to think differently, or maybe that came to them naturally. Either way, they don't see failure as the end, but as a step, a lesson, maybe even a gift. For me, a lot of that strength comes from my faith. Over the years, the more I've worked in psychology and counseling, the more I see a spiritual presence in people's lives, even the lives of those who aren't so spiritual. And that might surprise some people, but it's what I've seen. And again, that may not be something you believe. And that's okay. I invite you to consider this. Your thoughts have the power to lift you up or tear you down. And too often, it's our own thoughts that do this tearing. They tell us, you should have done better, or you'll never recover. You blew it. But if we change that message, what if instead we told ourselves, this hurts, but it's not the end. I learned something valuable out of this experience. I'm still worthy. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of it. You? Well, you're more than any mistake you've ever made. You're capable of change, growth, and joy. Even now, even here in this moment, even after falling down. I could say a lot more about this. If you want to hear more about how I came to the conclusion that no human being can ever be a failure, I'd like to share that in a future video. Just leave a comment and let me know if that's something you'd like to hear about. But for now, I'll leave you with this. Fail as fast as you can, learn deeply, and live fully, because you are not your failures. You're human, and that's more than enough. Thanks for watching. If this encouraged you, please share it with someone else, and see you next time.